We think a chunk of the ring of this piston may have gone into the crankcase. So we're thinking on having the bike shop go through both these oil pumps, the crankcase, put all new seals in it, check bearings or whatever's in there, get her dialed in for us. I don't know if we have the time to work on this engine here. Taking the tires off this deal. Thinking the bike shop has a machine to get the rubber off the rim. We want to clean those rims up good. I'm just looking at this shoe assembly for the brakes. Looks like it's packed with grease.
Somebody bought a motorcycle, probably wanted to take care of it, sees a Zerk fitting on the axle. And he's thinking, oh, I want to grease these bearings, make sure that, you know, everything holds up. And he starts pumping away. Well, if you keep shoving a tube of grease, where do you think it's going to end up going? This whole drum was filled with grease, and all the brake drum on the inside is full of grease. The seals weren't all that great back in them days. A lot of times there was felt and packings and stuff like that. And now we got neoprene seal, but they wouldn't even be able to hold up. We're gonna take these all apart, and we should have showed you in the old days how the axle went through and you had ball bearings and you gotta set these up just right so the wheel still spins, not too tight, because you know you're spinning for a long time. If you're riding, you don't want anything heating up and binding up. So there is a little bit of play, but we're stripping it all down. So we're gonna get these sandblasted, and you wouldn't want sand getting into a bearing area. So everything's gonna have to be put back together after it's cleaned up and use new grease. It should be clean. But you're gonna see how rusted all this is. And you're thinking, why don't you just go buy different rims? And you could do that. There's tons of Harley wheels laying all around, but this is 1949. To properly do this, you would have the rim all sandblasted, take these all apart, put new spokes in it, put them back together, re-true it up. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna have the whole damn thing sandblasted and then put paint on it. And when it goes on a tire machine, of course it's gonna go and carve it up, and we'll have to touch that up. Just to show you how ridiculous it is. I hate this Fender, and the brackets go, sure there's some pivots right here, but I mean these are dorky. And you just want to get the fender off, and it ain't even gonna come off, because at the pivot points, the fender is wider than what the pivot points are. So I gotta take these off, and it's multiple bolts that you gotta adjust, and then there's locking tabs to keep it that tension so you don't get a wobble. You remember when you had a bicycle and you had the bearings were loose and you had wobble in the wheels? Well, you have to tighten that all up so that the bike doesn't waller all over the road. And you know, we showed how that little axle, it's only 3/8 going across for the wheel. Now we can get this thing off. We want to get everything apart so we can take it to a sandblaster and just have them do it. We're going to take this all apart for sandblasting, and you know, the springs and the thing, we're going to paint all this. And all you got is a rod going through here, and you got short springs up on top, big springs here. So that would be if you flew up in the air, you still got some give, so it would droop. And then these are on the compression, because it's upside down right now. I ended up putting one of these on here, and it was uneventful now that it just got to its last thread. Otherwise, you know, might have taken off. Who knows? I had wiring in here, and then we just got one of these ratchet straps. There's always tension on these springs. You don't know what's going to happen. This is the thing that has to come together, the top and the bottom. And you got to tighten this up so these bearings in here that turn will, oh, this was supposed to go in there, but you got to tighten it up, or if you hit bumps and stuff, you'd have play in here. And these are all ball bearings, so the balls would fall out. But while that's above, this is going to stay stationary, and then this can go in and out. But this was all broken up. These things held these parts here that these, went over. And this is supposed to keep them all contained down here, and it's cracked. These handlebars and everything are going to come off. And then there's got to be a nut that squeezes those two together. So we got to get these loose. Okay. I got to be careful as I loosen this thing up. I don't want ball bearings rolling across the shop. Because everything else has been ball bearings from 1930 or 49.
There's all the balls bottom. How many are in there? Appears like there's about 15 balls in there.
Just like the old Whizzer that we did. It has this goofy seat that rides on this pogo spring. And I took a nut off the bottom, pushing down, maybe trying to get some threads, looking for anything down the line that could be capturing it. Can't see anything. So this looks like a pretty wimpy frame, right? There ain't much to it, just one tube. These are all cast. When you go to lift this thing up, this has got to be 100 pounds. Well, at least 80. When I got a bad back, everything feels heavier. But if we want to fix it, you don't want to sandblast and have a bunch of grit in here going. We got to get this apart. You can see how these things were connected. This is all brazing. So that's how they attach cast iron parts to the tubing. This is a motorcycle on the floor. Everything's got, the tranny, we got to take the clutch off. Then we got to take the cover off and at least look at, before you put that thing all back together and find out that the gears are, grinding or whatever. You got to make sure that's all cleaned up. It turned to asphalt. It's oil and gravel and dirt. I think we're going to knock 5 pounds off of it. So after scraping this frame down and getting all the grease off of it, you'll see that when they do this, they have jigs and they put all these parts in there and they're pounding them in. Then it's brazed. So you can imagine the heat that was used to get these things to fuse together. In the process of doing that, pressure builds up inside the tubes, and you'll see these little holes, each tube. And they're like a chimney. They smoke and let the fumes come out. Because if you didn't have an escape hatch for that pressure, and you were heating this all up and trying to braze, it would be trying to get out, because air expands and it would be puffing out and it would wreck your joint. Same thing goes for today. When guys are doing roll cages and stuff, they got to drill holes in every once in a while because the heat and the gases build up, and once they've closed up their last weld, all of a sudden it would be poof, it would blow apart. So they got to have a relief hole in the frames.